Great. Now, you've spoken about the MATH plus protocol, and I believe that the LAMP protocol developed by Dr. Paranthaman and his team are pretty similar. So, Dr. Paranthaman, very briefly, could you tell us what the LAMP protocol is actually about, and how did you stumble upon methylprednisolone as a drug that would really help keep patients outside the ICU?
How we started, because the patient we don't have any protocol before. It's a new disease, and we had to read about the disease. What is the virus? How the presentation, and what are the pathophysiology. So when we read this pathophysiology of the virus and the virus action, we found that primarily the pulmonary vascular thrombosis is the one which causing the inflammation. So, what the two, and as at that point of time, there is no effective antiviral at that point of time, because there is no effective and safer antiviral which can address the virus clearance. So the only thing is option is dealing with the pathology. So we try to block the pathology or target the pathology, what's happening in the lungs. So there are two things we found. We found one, there is a thrombosis because it's a hypercarbonated state, because the virus, the endothelium, ACE2 receptors are more in the pulmonary vasculature and endothelium. The virus involvement is more there. So as far as the data is concerned, more than 90% or 80 to 90% of the ACE receptors in the pulmonary vasculature. So the involvement of the pulmonary vasculature is more. The endothelial damage is more. As a result of endothelial damage, thus inflammation is more. The inflammation is a non-infectious inflammation. So there are two things there. One, there is inflammation. Two, there is a coagulation. So these three things, two things, if you address, probably we can improve the outcome. So you can improve. That's what how we started. So we started giving low molecular heparin because that's the one which is causing the problem. And two, following this obstruction, there is inflammation, that is death, cell death and inflammation. So we started which drug is a ideal drug. As Mitchell, as a writer pointed rightly, the drug, the steroid which penetrates into the lung and endothelium or epithelium and the pulmonary parenchyma is better with the methylprednisolone than dexamethasone. When you see the dexamethasone, if you see the literature, the penetration to the brain is more. And any meningeal problem, we use a dexamethasone because the penetration to the meninges and to the concentration of the brain is more. So when you want to use a drug which is the lungs, that you choose a drug which is penetration to the lung is more than the other areas. That's how we give priority to methylprednisolone. So and moreover it's very effective. So any critical care management, they use methylprednisolone for the lung involvement because acute lung injury, bronchial asthma, and COPD, and because it is concentration is more. So based on this consensus, we started preferring methylprednisolone because this is inflammation. So that's the one thing. And third thing is because, and I mean sometimes it's not infection is though it's not very common in this COVID lung involvement. There's because secondary infection maybe there we are actually we do not know how it's occurring. Maybe whenever there is pneumonia, maybe communicable pneumonia also. For the communicable pneumonia, the primary drug will be the macrolide, and followed if at all it's a severe infection, we add this gram negative coverage or gram positive coverage like ceftriaxone gram positive coverage. So that is a combination. Here we used azithromycin because one for the prevention of there is a there is a, the atypical organism or in second infection. Second is a immunomodulatory. So 500 milligram stat followed by 250 milligram body is a immunomodulatory dose of azithromycin. So generally we use an antibiotic for any secondary infection in the respiratory tract. So we added that one. Then fourth thing we understood was that here this particular pathology in the lungs, what's the improvement with the prone ventilation, because it's occurring in the periphery. It's not common with the other ARDS. Other ARDS is diffusely everywhere, even central, lateral, and all this thing. But this particular disease involves primarily the peripheries, and where and lower lobe is involved, peripheral zones are involved. And if you put the patient in a prone positioning, and probably the ventilation improves and the oxygenation improves, thereby the saturation improves. So we thought the only four things which is a primary, because we do not have any effective antiviral drug. So probably we target the pathology, and we hence we formed is a lamp, low molecular heparin, azithromycin, and methylprednisolone, and of course prone position. That's how we initially we started. As I already mentioned, and after the patient's improvement, there are most of the time patient improves, and patient, if some people are deteriorating in spite of our treatment, so we find out what is the cause of the problem. So in that we found the obese individuals and those who are bronchial asthmatics and diabetic individuals and the hypertensive individuals of long-term duration, they are not improving. In those situations, we analyze why these people are not improving, because we are giving the dose as per the 1.5 to 1 milligram per kg methylprednisolone, dexamethasone 40 milligram OD my initial stage, and later we do BID dose, and the of course prone pushing putting for everybody. We're non-diabetic and diabetic, and everybody we are putting the same. Why these people are not improving? That we started analyzing. Then later we found that, and there is a receptor in the heart also, and probably the myocarditis, that is COVID myocarditis, maybe in addition to the COVID pneumonia, the primarily 90% of the case, maybe 5 to 10% of the case, the myocarditis following this the infection may trigger possible LV dysfunction that is causing worsening. So the complication by the lung as well as with the heart in a COVID negative patient. So then we started using the small, because clinically we found there are some people, they found that they are orthopedic, they are not able to lie down, they're able to only sitting posture. And those individuals, we started giving small dose of Lasix, there is furosemide, is a 10 to 20 milligram, that there is improvement in the saturation from 90 to 95. So if we found we are happy, we again is just challenge the dose. And similarly, we found that those individuals with the comorbids, especially long-term diabetes, hypertension, CAD, even though there is no ECG changes, because the improvement with the furosemide was there, we started using small dose. Then later we analyzed the literature that because of long-term diabetic, there is involvement of the heart, one by the cytokines, and two, the cytokines itself can suppress the heart function, decrease the heart contractility, or COVID myocarditis by the viral receptor after that. Third, because of the stress, any infection can stress precipitate in elderly, and they are not able to tolerate so much of cytokines and stress related the stress hormones like catecholamines, all these things probably all together may contribute for worsening of hypoxia in these individuals. So whenever we find the patients with the comorbids, we clinically assess if that's not improving, probably we use small dose of that is furosemide or diuretic. Then we found that there is a lot of improvement. So we are happy. We are adding Lasix. Probably you have to change protocol from POM to maybe adding Lasix, one more Lasix also like that. That's all, because the new disease is nowhere described anywhere because of the Lasix and all, because aggravation. It's only the observation. We could not do any study because right now we have 1,700 patients in our hospital, and the inpatient was 45, and the COVID care center we have rest 1,250. So there is manpower is less for us. We are not able to do any data analysis. That is the problem with us now.